everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Musical Memories. I'm your host, Anthony Gamer, and in today's episode we're going to discuss Lynyrd Skynyrd after 1977. In the previous episode, I know that I'd said that I was ready to move on and start doing Kiss, but I felt that there were some loose ends with Lynyrd Skynyrd that needed to be tied up, specifically the music that came out after the plane crash. After the plane crash of 1977, which in effect ended Lynyrd Skynyrd, the fans were wondering what was going to happen next. Were the surviving members going to get back together as Lynyrd Skynyrd? Were they going to break off into separate bands? That was a question that people had been asking for many years after the crash occurred. The surviving members of the band told everyone that yes, we are going to continue on playing music. And Charlie Daniels, a musician in his own right and a very big fan of Skynyrd, told everyone, "Skynyrd's back." Well, not exactly. In 1980, a new band finally emerged, and this band is called the Rossington Collins Band. And this is their debut album, Anytime, Anyplace, Anywhere. It was released in 1980 under MCA, the same label that Skynyrd themselves had released all their previous albums. All of the surviving members of Skynyrd did come back and join this band, with the exception of Artemis Pyle. He had planned on joining the band, but because of a motorcycle accident, he was unable to participate.
Now, the members of the Rossington Collins Band were Dale Krantz, lead vocals, Gary Rossington, lead and rhythm guitars, slide guitar, Alan Collins, lead and rhythm guitars, Barry Harwood, told you you'd hear that name again, lead and rhythm guitars, slide guitar, vocals, Billy Powell, all keyboards, Derek Hess, drums, percussion, and Leon Wilkerson, bass guitar.
I recently purchased this from a really cool guy on eBay, which is, of course, where I purchase most of my stuff. And you can see he put this really cool plastic cover on it so that we don't have to worry about it getting damaged or anything. It's a nice gatefold album, like many of the Skynyrd albums were. And check this out. He got me a ticket stub from when he had seen the band live back in the day. Pretty cool, huh?
Now, the total album itself clocks in at 46 minutes and 31 seconds and was released in July 1980. Now, the tracks are Primetime, written by Alan Collins, Gary Rossington, and Dale Krantz, clocking in at 4 minutes and 6 seconds. Number 2, Three Times as Bad, clocking in at 6 minutes and 4 seconds, written by Dale Krantz and Alan Collins. Number 3, Don't Misunderstand Me, which was the single and the biggest hit off this album, written by Alan Collins, Barry Harwood, and Dale Krantz at 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Number 4, One Good Man, written by Alan Collins, Gary Rossington, and Dale Krantz, and clocking in at 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And number 5, Opportunity, written by Billy Powell, Barry Harwood, and Dale Krantz, clocking in at 4 minutes and 34 seconds. All right, so let's flip the record over. Whoops. Hold on a second. Excuse me, let's continue. Side 2, the first track is Getaway, written by Billy Powell, Dale Krantz, and Barry Harwood, clocking in at 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Winners and Losers, written by Gary Rossington and Alan Collins, clocking in at 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Misery Loves Company, written by Gary Rossington and Dale Krantz, 4 minutes and 49 seconds. And finally, Sometimes You Can Put It Out, written by Barry Harwood, Dale Krantz, and Gary Rossington, and clocking in at 5 minutes and 44 seconds. Although still a Southern rock band, they decided they wanted to kind of differentiate themselves from Lynyrd Skynyrd. One of the best ways that they did that was to add a female singer, that being Dale Krantz. Dale Krantz herself had an amazing voice. She had this beautiful, soulful, almost scratchy kind of voice that reminded me a lot of Janis Joplin. Great voice. My wife even commented when she heard her that she was just really impressed with her voice, which added a bluesy side to the band. But in a lot of ways, it was still business as usual, as you had those signature guitar solos from Alan and Gary, Billy Powell's just signature piano playing, and Leon Wilkerson's amazing bass lines. One that were very complicated and didn't really need to be because he was in a band with 3 guitar players, but yet he always excelled at his bass lines. So in a lot of ways, yes, it was Skynyrd, but it was on another level. The album itself did quite well, and the single off the album, that being Don't Misunderstand Me, was a pretty decent hit. To be honest with you, there's not really a bad song on the album, although that single is truly the standout song, as it's kind of a back and forth conversation between Dale Krantz and Barry Harwood. I'm not sure if this song is available in karaoke format, but it would be a great song for a couple to do. Much better than I Got You, Babe, which I'm so sick of hearing at every single karaoke bar. Ugh.
A year later, the band released their next album called This Is the Way. It was also released on MCA Records.
The album itself clocks in at 41 minutes and 22 seconds. Now, it's the same lineup as the previous album, and same writers, same attitude, and like the other album, it was just an amazing release. Now, here are the tracks. On side 1, we have Gotta Get It Straight, written by Dale Krantz, Billy Powell, and Gary Rossington, clocking in at 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Track 2, Tashana, written by Dale Krantz and Gary Rossington, clocking in at 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Number 3, Gonna Miss It When It's Gone, written by Alan Collins, Dale Krantz, and Gary Rossington, clocking in at 3 minutes and 51 seconds. Number 4, Pine Box, written by Barry Harwood, clocking in at 3 minutes and 4 seconds. And the final track, Fancy Ideas, written by Barry Harwood, Hess, and Wilkerson, clocking in at 4 minutes and 36 seconds. Now, flip the record over. Not literally this time. Next song is Don't Stop Me Now, written by Dale Krantz and Gary Rossington, clocking in at 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Seems Like Every Day, written by Dale Krantz and Gary Rossington, clocking in at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm Free Today, written by Barry Harwood, clocking in at 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Next Phone Call, written by Dale Krantz and Gary Rossington, clocking in at 3 minutes and 33 seconds. And the final track, Means Nothing to You, written by Barry Harwood, clocking in at 5 minutes on the nose. Like the previous album, all the songs on this were just great. I mean, there really was not a bad song. But if I had to pick my absolute favorite, I would have to say it's I'm Free Today. This was an album in which Barry Harwood really got to show off his songwriting and singing chops, and that is not only one of my favorite songs on this album, but I would dare say one of my all-time favorite songs, period.
Now, like the previous album, you can see that it is also a really cool gatefold with lots of cool pictures of the band. Unfortunately, the band had thought probably that all the tragedies were behind them. Well, that wasn't the case.
During the recording of this album, Alan Collins' beloved wife and love of his life, Kathy, unfortunately died while giving birth to what would have been their 3rd child. Alan and his band members were devastated by the loss, and honestly, Alan never fully recovered from it. To add a little more controversy to the band, Dale Krantz and Gary Rossington fell in love, which was no big surprise to anyone. It was pretty obvious by the pictures of them on both records that they were a couple. But regardless, because of these 2 factors and other things, the band split up after only 2 albums.
After the dissolution of the Rossington-Collins band, the other members of the band, except Gary Rossington and Dale Krantz, formed the Alan Collins Band, and this was their one and only release called Here, There, and Back. It was released in 1983, also on MCA Records.
Along with the previous members of the Rossington-Collins Band, 2 new members were added on, Jim Doherty on vocals and Randall Hall on guitars. Now the tracks on this album are as follows. Just Trouble at 3 minutes and 57 seconds, written by Randall Hall and Barry Lee Harwood. One Known Soldier at 4 minutes and 25 seconds, written by Alan Collins and Jimmy Doherty. 3, Hangin' Judge at 3 minutes and 3 seconds, written by Jimmy Doherty and Billy Powell. Time After Time at 3 minutes and 40 seconds, written by Jimmy Doherty. And This Rides on Me at 4 minutes and 43 seconds, written by Barry Lee Harwood. Alright, so on side 2, we have Ready to Move at 3 minutes and 28 seconds, written by Barry Lee Harwood, Jimmy Doherty, Derek Hess, and Leon Wilkerson, clocking in at 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Chapter 1 at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, written by Alan Collins and Jimmy Doherty. Commitments, clocking in at 4 minutes and 57 seconds, written by Alan Collins and Jimmy Doherty. And the final, Everything You Need, clocking in at 4 minutes and 53 seconds, written by Randall Hall, Jimmy Doherty, and Alan Collins. Now, they always say to not judge a book or an album by its cover, but I'll tell you, the cover on this album is just great, and it does kind of let you know that this album is going to kick some serious ass. I really like the back cover where all the band members are drawn like in kind of cartoon form. Just in case you're wondering, the front cover was designed by Raymond Rat Turknet, and the illustrations were done by a gentleman named Larry Noble. Now, if you ask me, this album is just great. There is not a bad track on it, not a standout track. You can just let this album play from beginning to end. No use of even touching the skip button. The repeat button, yes, but the skip button, no way. This is a great album from track 1 to the end. Of course, just when things are going great for this band, it seems things always go downhill, and that's what happened. The Alan Collins band broke up after a short while, and basically Alan fired the whole band. I believe that's what happened. That's what I've heard. And Alan himself continued to deteriorate mentally, again, because of the deaths of his friends and his wife. So he tried to revive the band one time, but it really didn't work. On January 29th, 1986, Alan was driving a new black Ford Thunderbird when he was involved in a car accident that claimed the life of his new girlfriend, Deborah Jean Watts, and paralyzed him from the waist down with limited use of his arms and hands. He pleaded no contest to vehicular homicide, as well as driving under the influence of alcohol, and he would never be able to play guitar on stage ever again. In 1987, Lynyrd Skynyrd had a reunion tour, which of course later turned into the band having a full-fledged reunion, doing more albums and tours as the years went on. Alan Collins, however, was not able to perform on stage with his bandmates. He would come out there just about every night in a wheelchair and would tell people why it was he was not able to perform with his bandmates. Alan formed a organization called Roll for Rock Wheelchair Events and Benefit Concerts in 1988 to raise awareness and to provide opportunities for those living with spinal cord injuries and other physical challenges. Unfortunately, he got very sick, which is something that happens to people that are paralyzed like this, and he had to go into a nursing home. And he died on January 23rd, 1990 from chronic pneumonia, and he is buried beside his wife in Jacksonville, Florida. Life went on for Lynyrd Skynyrd as they continued to tour and put out new albums over the years with different lineups. Beginning with the album Lynyrd Skynyrd 1991, Lynyrd Skynyrd would make a full-fledged reunion and continue on as a band. This album, while not great, was a pretty good starting point, and it would of course be dedicated to Alan Collins' memory. Johnny Van Zant, younger brother of Ronnie, would assume the role of frontman and would keep the band going for many years to come. My personal opinion, Johnny has got a great voice and he's a great songwriter in his own right. Of all the Skynyrd albums that were released after the 91 reunion, my personal favorite has to be 20. This album came out in 1997 and was the 20th anniversary of the plane crash. The album is great, it's hard rockin', it's got some great soulful singing and some just amazing kick-ass songs, and best of all, Ricky Medlock, who had been in the band in their very early days, returned on lead guitar.
Although many of the members of Skynyrd are unfortunately gone, the legacy of the band goes on forever. So in a lot of ways, they have been immortalized through their music. And now, well, of course it was until all this happened, Skynyrd was on their farewell tour. So I wish them all the best, and I hope that when all this is over with, they will be able to go back on tour and finish what they started. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Musical Memories. I really hope you all enjoyed it. I sure enjoyed talking about it. If you did, you know what to do. Give me a great big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload new episodes. Well, until next time, this has been Anthony Gamer. I wish you all the best. I hope you all are safe, enjoying your family time together, and keeping calm while hopefully this will be wrapped up soon and we'll all be able to get out and see friends and family again, and for some of you go back to work. You're all in my prayers, you're all in my thoughts, so take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next episode. Until then, have yourselves a great day. Goodbye.